Greetings, sisters, and welcome to Sisters of the Earth, a re-emergence of the divine feminine. Let's begin by honoring this sacred circle of sisterhood by lighting a red candle to honor our missing and Indigenous sisters, and with a prayer. Now for our prayer, please hold space. Divine Mother, we gather in your name, returning from exile, like the feminine Shekinah in the Jewish tradition, rising out of the ashes like the mystical phoenix, burning away old paradigms with fire, like our Indigenous grandmothers. We are Lilith returned. As your expressions of the divine feminine, we are humbled and accept your guidance as we navigate through these challenging initiations. Please help us to remember the truth of who we are, that we are sisters of the earth. May we heal our bonds of sisterhood, uplifting, loving, and supporting one another. In your name, Divine Mother. Aho. Welcome, sisters. My name is Tyffany Howard, and I am your host. I am a spiritual activist, personal and spiritual growth teacher. My mission is to help others develop and grow, and to reconnect to self, others, nature, animals, and the divine through learning and creativity. The purpose for this gathering is twofold. First, to bring awareness to our missing and murdered Indigenous sisters in Canada, the United States, and Australia, and to raise funds for the Southwest Indigenous Women's Coalition, and they're supporting them in their efforts to seek justice for our missing and murdered Indigenous sisters. And today it is an honor for me to have as our special guest Tanya Harvey, who is the Director of Tribal Engagement for the Southwest Indigenous Women's Coalition. Tanya, will you please share a few words about this movement? You're on mute.
Okay. Thank you, Tyffany. Thank you for having SWIC as your guest tonight. We are very thankful for that. I'm just going to go over a little bit of who we are as Southwest Indigenous Women's Coalition. I'm going to refer to us as SWIC. And just a little bit of background of how we came to be, and some information about what we've been doing here within Arizona State, Arizona tribal communities in addressing missing and murdered of Indigenous women and girls. So first of all, again, good evening. My name is Tanya Harvey. I am Dene from Chinle, Arizona, which is about 5 hours or so from Phoenix. On the Navajo Nation. I've been with SWIC since 2000, in 2015 as a program specialist, and now the director of tribal engagement. And prior to that, I was a domestic violence sexual assault victim advocate for the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation, which is just east of Phoenix here, within the Phoenix area, for about 13 years. In regards to SWIC, SWIC is a nonprofit tribal domestic and sexual violence coalition serving the tribes in Arizona, primarily through training, technical assistance, and policy advocacy. SWIC's vision is to have safe Indigenous communities. Our mission is to increase the capacity of Indigenous communities to address and respond to violence through education, training, technical assistance, and policy advocacy, and cultural sensitive supportive services. We've been in existence since 2006. SWIC works with tribes in Arizona on issues relating to safety for Native women, youth leadership, direct service provisions for the LGBT community, and most recently addressing violence within an anti-oppression framework. We are a virtual office with 3 on staff. 2 are here in the Phoenix area, and 1 is up north on Navajo Nation. So we've been virtual for quite some time. But our focus areas are domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, dating violence, sex trafficking, missing and murdered, and also including LGBT information as well. Our service areas are for the 22 tribes here in Arizona, working with tribal service providers, tribal communities, tribal council. We do have sister coalitions as well, the Hopi Tewa Women's Coalition, which is right in Hopi, that services Hopi tribe. We also have sister coalitions in Utah, New Mexico, who also provide services within the Navajo Nation as well. Because Navajo Nation is so large that our land goes into Utah and New Mexico. But in regards to missing and murdered, in 2005, the movement for the safety of Native women led the struggle to include under the Violence Against Women Act a separate title for Native women called Safety for Indian Women. One of the findings of this title was that during the period of 1979 through 1992, homicide was the 3rd leading cause of death of Indian females aged 15 to 34. And 75% were killed by family members or acquaintances. Since that time, a study by the U.S. Department of Justice has found that in some tribal communities, Native American women face murder rates more than 10 times the national average. Over the last decade, awareness of this national issue has increased, but more must be done at the levels to stop the disappearance and save lives. To address an issue, it must first be acknowledged, and we cannot underestimate the importance of rooting our advocacy for social change and honoring our sisters, daughters, nieces, mothers, granddaughters, and our grandmothers who have gone missing or have been murdered. Through a report by the Urban Indian Health Institute, based out of Seattle, out of the 29 states surveyed, which Arizona was one of them, Arizona was the 3rd highest cases of missing and murdered, with 54 cases that they surveyed. And out of the 71 cities surveyed, Tucson was the 4th highest cases. This has been dated back into 2016, so there may be an increase of cases to now. But when this report was made, Arizona was the 3rd highest, and Tucson was the 4th highest city within Arizona of missing and murdered cases. So in regards to when we talk about missing and murdered, May 5th is a National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered. It's a national day throughout the whole US where other programs and cities and towns and states honor this day, bring awareness to the Indigenous missing and murdered, not only our men and women, but our men and boys as well. it's a National Day of Awareness in memory of Hannah Harris's birthday. She was a member of the Northern Cheyenne tribe who went missing and later found murdered in July 2013. So we honor May 5th as a day to remember Hannah, along with all of our missing and murdered of Indigenous women. And we also honor and bring awareness of this day to make change, to increase the awareness as well, not only at the tribal level, but the federal, state levels as well. And of course, on a daily basis, we continue to bring awareness within our communities all over the nation. Just to give you an idea of what we've been doing here within Arizona to address missing and murdered of Indigenous women and girls is providing the topic within our training and technical assistance to our service providers for tribal communities, addressing and presenting it to tribal council that there is a need and to bring awareness and possible funding for addressing missing and murdered. Also, we provide currently a statewide, there's also a current statewide study committee. I'm not sure if you guys heard of the HB 2570 that was passed last year by Governor Ducey of Arizona, which is a study committee to find out more information about cases within Arizona, finding out more data, how to find more data, working with our non-Native partners, working with our non-Native law enforcement, and so forth. So this is, I think, a year, and then once a year has ended, they'll revisit as to whether to continue the study committee here in Arizona. But there's about 21 members for that study committee, some comprised of non-Native partners as well as tribal partners. But the challenges that we see within obtaining missing and murdered data is just accessing law enforcement data, fees. There may be fees in accessing data, the lack of records and racial misclassification, lack of media coverage. It seems that our Native families are searching for their own relatives who have gone missing and or murdered. But I hope that gives you enough information about what we're doing, about SWCC, about what we're doing here within Arizona. But again, SWCC is very appreciative with your efforts, Tyffany, as well as the Sisters of the Earth event for this opportunity to address missing and murdered within Arizona, as well as within our tribal communities in our coalition. But if you guys have any, if you guys need more information, you can contact myself, or you can also visit our website at www.swc.org. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity, Tyffany, and the rest.
You're so welcome, Tanya. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your presence here. We honor you. We honor what you are doing.
Thank you
so much. Our second reason for being here is to engage in sacred feminism, to co-create unity, and also to embrace community. We must end these divisions amongst women. We must heal our bond. And now our wisdom guides, who will help us move through practices and ways in which we can heal these divisions and heal our bond. We have with us tonight some phenomenal wisdom guides. We have Songbird Grandmother. She conducts ceremonies and private intuitive sessions with people from all over the world. Her ceremonies are a blend of wisdom teachings, messages from the ancestors, drumming, and spiritual counseling for those who want to bridge the material with the spiritual. We have Sandra Kimler, author, international speaker, vegan nutritionist, documentary and film critic, and loving mother of 3 wonderful children, who lives in Byron Bay, Australia. With activism in her blood, she will always fight for the voiceless, be they animal or human. She believes that we are all one. We are blessed to have Maricarmen Wilson, experienced registered yoga teacher, Yoga Alliance continuing education provider, Vinyasa, Krama creative alchemist, feminine fire starter, and yoga lifestyle guide. She has been practicing and teaching yoga for over 25 years. She splits her time leading retreats and workshops in Austin, Latin America, and Quebec. As a holistic worker, evolutionary leader, and spiritual activist, Heather Elizabeth joyfully follows her path of service through empowering her fellow human beings and reclaiming their innate light while committing to be the change they wish to see in the world. She is an ally and guide for crossing the evolutionary threshold. By listening to the promptings of her soul, Heather Elizabeth founded the Shine movement, supporting humanity and navigating evolution in 2015. Shine serves as a sacred container for the alchemical process of the personal and planetary transformation at hand. We have with us Kathryn Babboni. She is a visionary, imaginal artist, certified Reiki master, eclectic animist, shamanic practitioner, and medicine maker. Her background as an herbalist, aromatherapist, crystal worker, sound healer, and perpetual student of psychology and astrology forms the foundation for her healing work. A daughter of Gaia, Kathryn is devoted to transforming discordant energy into harmonious frequencies that support life and connection with the divine. You can find her artwork at www.katrinainc.net. We also have with us from Australia, Tash Kelly is a visionary, dreamer, teacher, and sacred intimacy educator. Tash is committed to exploring and experimenting with the mystical, the realms of energy, bliss, intention, and conscious creating. She offers workshops, events, and individual sessions based in exploring these paradigms and awakening to our potential. Tash holds powerful sacred space of transformation, and her greatest joy is facilitating others to experience the magic of themselves and life. Her personal big, bold dreaming is a new earth, a new Eden through awakened consciousness. We also have with us Thuy. Thuy is the mother of 2, a creative entrepreneur and an author of a children's book called Tiny Acts of Kindness. She believes that intentional small acts of kindness not only contribute to our own health and wholeness, they have the power to transform the world. She is also the owner of Tiny Acts Studio, a collection of artful products that uplift and empower through heartfelt messages. Thuy lives in sunny Saratoga, California with her husband and 2 children who inspire her every day. And we also have with us Banya Lim. Banya is a multi-generational healer and acupuncturist who focuses on healing body, mind, and spirit. She has developed ESM, Emotional Self-Master, a program that applies to all her work and services. Banya believes in nature and natural medicine and the power of multi-dimensional dimensionality of each person. Sisters, we're ready. Let's begin with our first question. What is your definition of sacred divine feminism? And how does that inform your vision of embodying and co-creating unity and sisterhood? Kat, we begin with you.
Thank you, Tiffany, for this opportunity, and thank you everyone for showing up. I'm excited to hear what everybody has to share today. My definition of divine feminism is threefold. First is acknowledging and owning, embodying the divine, the flame of the divine mother that exists within me, and tending to that flame. Second is connection to the divinity of our blessed and beautiful Mother Earth, Gaia. And connecting with that always, starting my day with it, ending my day with it, rooting into her, communing with her, honoring her, and blessing her every day. And the third is honoring that I am created in Divine Mother, Great Mother, Goddess, in her image. And recognizing that my body is a sacred vessel to commune with Mother Earth, to commune with other women, men, children, animals, trees, all beings, and to recognize that sacred spark is everything, to honor that. I vision that as, first of all, recognizing that everything is sacred, making daily actions sacred, daily interactions with others sacred, asking for guidance to lead my thoughts, my words, my actions with others to be for the highest and greatest good. And it is a constant discipline and practice, and asking for guidance for how I can be of service.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you. We'll now move to Heather Elizabeth.
Thank you, Tiffany, and thank you everyone for being here. I'm incredibly honored and blessed to be in this sacred, intentional circle. And thank you, Kat, for opening up the space for this discussion. Oh, divine feminism for me is about honoring my emotional body and my emotional wisdom. And for someone who has been conditioned through my family lineage, and I feel like through the culture that I grew up in, to repress feelings, and was taught that I feel too much, and just to shove that away in the back of the closet. My awakening to the goddess and the feminine has been about embracing the power of my emotions and allowing that energy to move through me, and the beauty and the power and the sacredness of the emotional body, and recognizing that as I allow myself to express that part of who I am, that I'm able to hold compassionate, intentional, loving space for others too as well. And for a culture who is crying out for the healing of ancient traumas that have been passed down from generation to generation to generation, and now we're at a place in our evolution where we can truly see the damage that has been done by the repression of the trauma, we have a unprecedented opportunity to honor our emotions and to allow that healing to truly take place, and to know that as we move through it, the wisdom and the empowerment and the sacredness that is there is truly beyond words. So that's on my heart, and the embodiment of that, as I mentioned, is to ride those waves and to be present with myself and to be compassionate and allow it, and know that there is grace, always grace present through the Divine Mother. There's always healing and there's always transformation present when we allow that part of ourself to be expressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Heather. San, would you like to add something?
Thank you, ladies. I will tell you my definition of the sacred feminism and the co-create unity is this. Since we are the bearers of life, we are connected through life, as we are all sisters. The ability to give life is sacred only to us. With this in mind, all humanity is unity, and in this unity there is no separation. How can we rest when our sisters are in distress? Are we not in distress ourselves when our sisters are not free of any fear? Our unity extends to all sisters of the globe in every color and race, from birth to birth again. What this means is that we are the ones who give life, and it is our job to teach the children of the future that there is no separation, that there is unity. So my definition is more what I can do for those that come after me, is to teach them that we are all one. And that does include men, and it does include boys, as well as our beautiful daughters and sisters. So that's my answer to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, San. Thank you. Songbird grandmother.
Thank you, everyone. Actually, I'm really in alignment with what San just said, because I believe that it all comes from complete ownership and self-responsibility of who we are as life givers and creators, and to embrace both our shadow and our light, and to bring up all those aspects of ourselves, and to honor the cycles that we as women we go through. We go from maiden to mother to crone to grandmother to elder. And when we respect and honor who we are first, and to really know thyself, then from there we can go out into the world and serve our families, our communities, and the world. And we can also come into unity. And before this program today, the word that came through for feminism is support. How we can support one another, and a lot of times we just hold space. And when we do that and we're in alignment with that, then there's so much power a woman yields with just nurturing, kindness, the beauty of a woman. What would the world be like without the woman? I don't think it'd be a good world. There'd be no life. Everything would be, a wreck. And so we as women, we're coming into a time where we can really truly know ourselves, know what's best for us. And we are coming into the time where our voices need to be heard more and more. And we come together in connection and community and respect and honor. And that all comes from, first and foremost, knowing ourselves, and no more listening to others about what a woman should look like, what a woman should be like, how a woman should act and behave. But knowing that there are some women who would prefer to be mothers and stay at home, and there'd be mothers that want to work, and some want to do both. But to know that about yourself, and to know what kind of woman and energy and medicine that you walk with, and that's where I believe the foundation of all feminism is and sacred feminism. And from that place, then we can look at how we can support one another in unity and community.
Mm. Thank you, Sister Songbird.
Thank you.
Banya, please share.
Well, I believe everyone shared everything what I want to share already, and I'm honored to be here. Sacred and divine feminism. When you asked that question, the first thing came to me was intuition. I believe intuition is a very intricate part of feminism and a woman's body, that we innately know what others are feeling, others are suffering. There's nothing that happens in one corner of the world is not affecting us. But we innately, intuitively feel this. And I heard that the science is trying to prove this actually exists or not. It does exist. And if it's anything, our body, our system, and energetically, we embody this more naturally than anything else out there. And through this intuition, we can not only feel things and understanding things, but this is what leads us to the oneness that someone talked about, leads us to oneness of all of us. So the feminism, divine feminism for me is about bringing this natural sense of awareness of oneness through letting our intuition to guide us.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Banya. Tash, please share.
Yeah, beautiful. That's a beautiful segue, Banya, because my understanding is similar. And I first just want to say how different it feels whenever there's just women in a group, and just sitting here and looking at you all. It's so beautiful. Just it's something different when there's just women. It's not better or worse or anything. It's just, I don't know, there's energy and vibe. And so I'm really excited because the teachings that I'm interested in are saying that the shift in consciousness is happening on the planet now. We are in now this phenomenal time on the planet. And a huge part of this is the re-emergence of the feminine. The feminine energy is coming back into balance on the planet, which is yin energy, the energy of the heart, centered in the heart. So working from the heart and connecting into the heart, which as women, the Tantra teachings talk about, we just more naturally come from that place. That's our positive pole of energy. We more naturally come from there. But we haven't been taught to revere and honor the aspects of the heart: compassion, love, surrender, intuition, really connecting into the body beyond the mind, connecting into the field, something bigger than we know ourselves to be, something bigger than the mind, when we're more connected in. And so I'm really excited to be a part of these groups that are believing and bringing back this feminine energy. And in terms of conscious creating, the teaching there is surrendering into this moment, moving from the heart and magnetizing to us, magnetizing and being the change, and letting that emanate from us, that then magnetizes a new earth, rather than the more active masculine yang, which is going out and creating action from the mind. So yeah, sacred feminism for me is learning to surrender and trust and listen to myself and go gently, surrender to something bigger. Oh, thank you. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tash. Thank you so much. Thuy, please share.
Thank you, Tiffany, for inviting me to this space. It's just beautiful. All the women and the wisdom that's coming out is amazing. For me, divine feminism is just that intention, right? To bring out the sacred qualities that we already innately have, like beauty, nurturance, compassion, peace, unity. And it's just innate within us, but it's been repressed for so long because they weren't seen as valuable. They were seen as weak or too vulnerable, right? So I think the divine feminine is coming back. She's coming back, and she's only getting stronger. So our work, I feel, is just to nurture these qualities and to know how powerful they are, because they are so powerful. And for me, it's just like the small things, just the everyday little things that we can do. It's, you know, for me, it's telling my daughter how beautiful her body is, or telling her that it's okay to be angry, to show her emotions, or telling my son it's okay to cry, right? Just okay to be vulnerable. So, and it's encouraging other sisters. Like it's these small everyday things that we have so many chances to do, and so many chances to practice honoring this sacred divine energy. And they may seem insignificant, but because it goes against what we've been taught, but it's so powerful because it carries the energy of love. And I can't think of anything that's stronger, more powerful than love. Thank you.
Thank you, Thuy. Maricarmen.
Oh, thank you all so much. I echo everything, and I think it's the same as Banya said. It's like, what can I say at this point? I really, I feel so honored to be here. And my sacred feminism, how it's manifested and karmically found its way into my being, is very much of action. And I believe that those inherent qualities that we know to be the juice of femininity and women, we could be completely spent at the end of the day, and 2 hours later we're up and we're still completely doing all the necessary work. I know it's because we are more effective. So divine feminine energy, or Shakti, it's the ability to be. And if you want to pull these things at the root, it's about having the ability to be incredibly effective with our power. All these important manifestations that we all shared of how it's expressed through us. I think all of us here as guides, we have and everybody's a guide, but we're called into this circle. I feel we also have an onus and a responsibility to bring others up into the work, have others step up into the work, that it really is a time of being seen, being heard, especially for those that are marginalized. But also we have people in our own circles that may have these illusions of what strength and power is, and they need us to show them now this next chapter, this next evolution. So I speak from my own, how it's manifested in me is I have to do, and I have to show others that it's not just me holding space, which is so incredibly powerful, but it's also, we're leaders. We have to lead that space and empower others, right? So that it is, and into their own circles and communities, that they are guides, that they have all these intrinsic birthright qualities as women, and that men need it and they're asking for it. I wanted to read Andrew Harvey, the religious scholar. I pulled up something that's so important, and he's also participated in retreats with my brother-in-law over the years, but this really spoke to exactly how I feel now in this time that we're in now. It's from a book, it's his kind of forward or opinion from a book he wrote of the return of the mother. And he quotes Sri Aurobindo, who said, if there's to be a future, it will wear the crown of feminine design. And I think that in itself, in that statement, means that anybody can wear that crown, that the design is feminine. It returns back to a feminine design. At the end of his life, the great Indian mystic Aurobindo is said to have said, if there's to be a future, it will wear the crown of a feminine design. Unless we awaken to the mystery of the sacred feminine, of the feminine as sacred, and allow it to glow and grow radiate, irradiate, illumine, and penetrate every area of our activity, and to create in them all harmony, justice, peace, love, ecstasy, balance, we will die out. We will die out and take nature, or a large part of it, with us, unless we come to know what sacred femininity really is, its subtlety, its flexibility, but also its extraordinary ruthlessness, radical power, and ability of dissolving all structures and dogmas, all prisons in which we have sought so passionately to imprison ourselves. We will be taken in by the patriarchy, the projections of it. The Divine Mother, the fullness of the revolution that she is preparing, will be lost to us. We must understand and comprehend that the sacred feminine is a crucial part of surviving this next terrible stage of humanity. So he says it as a terrible stage of humanity. I see this current stage as this inevitable, necessary upheaval, and we're all being called to rise for it. That's my divine feminine.
Thank you, Maricarmen.
Yeah.
In summary, I just want to throw out some words, some insights little nuggets that I picked up here in this, with this question. Ability to be, intuition, working from the heart, surrender and trust, honoring emotional body and wisdom, acknowledging and owning everything is sacred, support one another, connection and respect. Thank you, sisters. We now move on to our second question, and before I state the question, to all our beautiful sisters that are here with us, with our panel, I noted that this gathering would be an hour and a half. I'm noting that we may run out of time. I am going to go through with this entire gathering. If you must depart, we understand, but know that we will be here, and it may go a little bit over. So I want to honor your time, and I appreciate your love and support. So our next question: as we lead from divine feminine energy, what is meaningful for us to hold in our awareness as we wield our power and engage with other women to foster sisterhood? What can you suggest, wisdom guides, as a daily practice? Heather, Elizabeth, will.
Thank you, Tyffany. Such amazing, powerful, feminine energy here. I feel it in every part of my being. What comes up for me with this really powerful question, Tyffany, is a remembrance of our innate self-worth, that it is a divine birthright, that we are worthy of everything that our heart can desire. And that goes against a lot of what we've been taught. And so it really is an unpacking of all of that nonsense to get back to the core of the truth of our worthiness as children of the Divine Mother. And that sacred feminine that everyone has been speaking and sharing so eloquently about is abundant with that unconditional love and compassion and nurturing energy and acceptance and grace and beauty. And so it's a remembrament that all of that is always available to us simply because we are, simply for being. We have that wellspring available to us. And also it moves through us outward into the collective. When we reclaim our worthiness, then we're able to bring that through us and radiate it out into the world. So a practice that I certainly engage in on a regular basis is to create space every day to focus on what I really love about myself and the unique divine gifts that I bring to the world. And when I choose to focus my mind in that direction, and it is a practice because the mind wants to automatically go to judgment and criticism because we're so conditioned to do that. So a practice and a return to recognizing my innate worth, my beauty, my gifts. And the more and more I practice that, I see that in everyone else. I see the divine in everyone that crosses my path. And certainly all of my sisters across the globe. I see that divine mother essence in them and see their unique gifts and their beauty and all of that old paradigm of the competition and the jealousy and all of that stuff that's being transmuted. This is dissolved. It's not present anymore because I see and feel and know my worth, and I see and feel and know every single other goddess's worth and beauty. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather Elizabeth. Tash.
Yes. Well, my daily practice is to do what every great master has said, and to go within, to connect into something beyond the mind, and which is this space of trusting myself, trusting something bigger. Because for me, it really is mainly about trust, about being able to surrender and trust, like you've said, Heather, and a few have said, to trust ourselves, to trust myself, and to feel guided, to be able to feel my emotions, feel my body, feel my connection, and feel guided. And then to be able to recognize that as I'm guided like that, and as I keep tapping into that space, my external world shows up differently. So the trust that it's true that when I shift internally, my external world shifts. And yeah, it's a little bit every day, But heart math, if there's any heart math people here, they say just 30 seconds a couple of times a day, and then 15 minutes a couple of times a week is all we need to really shift our biology, just shift into that space, that more spacious space, more connected in, more in alignment with who we truly are. So yeah, it's my practice, just being aware, dropping in for 30 seconds, coming back to my heart and feeling my way, intuiting my way through the world, trialing something different, being pioneers. Aho.
Aho. Oh. San.
There we go. For a daily practice, and I agree, it doesn't have to be long. And a really lovely practice of self-love is when we place one hand on our heart, it doesn't matter which hand, and the other one we place on our stomach. We hold a lot of anxiety and blockages in our stomach. And so when we close our eyes and we have those two connected, we start from the heart, and it's just self-love, and it's connecting with the love that is around and within ourselves. And we connect that energy to our stomach, to our torso, and just feel the muscles relax there. And when we do that, and our whole body relaxes into oneness, into the oneness with all that's good and self-love, our day starts off a lot happier, a lot better. And so that's a little practice we can all do. And with that, you have to become very aware of what we think. We must think gentle and kind thoughts, which will lead to us speaking into kind words. And our actions must be indeed kind to ourselves and also to those around us. And that is the body, mind, and spirit connection that we all have. but we don't all recognize it when we do it ourselves, because how often are we critical when we look out in the mirror and we see perhaps that we have, our wrinkles come up, or our bum is too big or whatever, and we actually physically say, oh, I hate such and such. I don't actually want to say it because I love my body, but our body is listening. And so it's really important that we stop ourselves even saying it or thinking it. Just, even if we don't believe it, just don't say anything and just try to love our body the way it is aging. Let the seasons come and go towards us, because wisdom takes over, and that is just the best, really. So with that, I want to say, we want to come to a point where we love ourselves so much that we don't even want to intake anything that doesn't serve us, such as smoking or alcohol, even coffee or animal protein. There is so many different levels of self-love. Just find out where you are, and you find it out when you do that daily practice. Find out how much you can still grow. And that is my daily practice. And yeah, we do have to practice it every day, but that's one way to do it, is just to be really conscious of what we think, speak, and act, and what we consume to a day-to-day basis. Thank you.
Thank you, San. Kat.
Thank you, San. Can you state the question again, please? I got lost in what everyone was saying. Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry. As we lead from divine feminine energy, what is meaningful for us to hold in our awareness as we wield our power and engage with other women to foster sisterhood? What can you suggest as a daily practice?
I think it's very important for us to hold in our awareness that we came here at this time for a reason, to change things. We are the medicine bringers. We are the change makers. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. And I don't mean to sound cliche. I mean that in recognizing that we came to be age we are in a time that we are so connected, in a time that is so mysterious and changeable. We came here to stand up, to rise up, to protect all that is sacred, our planet, our air, our water, our people, our plants and trees, the soil. And we are so blessed to live in a time where we have the ability to stand up for ourselves. We have freedoms that we didn't have before. I think it's important to realize and to focus on, as Heather was mentioning, our self-worth. There's a lot of work that goes into bringing that in for yourself. There's so much conditioning out there, especially towards women, about what we should focus on. And in times past, we have been persecuted. In times today, we are still being persecuted, murdered, harmed. But so what we need is resilience. We need faith. We need trust. We need to walk our talk. For me, a daily practice is a variation of one of the heart math methods. And for me, it's a way to unite body, mind, and soul, and to eliminate in myself any fear, any sense of separation, isolation. And starting with the third eye, declaring, I see clearly. Moving to the heart, she is me. She loves fiercely. Moving to the sacral chakra, the womb space, we are all connected. I am she is me. And to the root chakra, I belong. And doing that a few times, starting out with breath, rooting into the earth, opening up sky above, calling upon my healthy, well, luminous, and kind ancestors, my grandmothers, and sending that energy forward to any future descendants. And I mean, there's so many practices that you can do, but opening up to considering, why am I here now? Why at this time? What is going on, and how can I be a positive influence, a protector, shower of ways, a way shower, or even a finder and a seeker? And really taking that time every day to devote loving yourself. I'm a big fan of mirror work and breath work, and staring at yourself and just realizing that you are not the master in the mirror, you are the mirror. And what do you want to reflect? And delving into those qualities, bringing them in, and then sharing them. I think that's another reason that we're here this time, is we are here to share. We are here to share privileges. We are here to share responsibility. And that requires that you know who you are, that you know what you're capable of, but that you're also curious to find out what the possibilities are, that you have the capacity to imagine and vision what else is possible, rather than buying into the conditioning that this is the way it has been, this is the way it's always going to be, and really questioning those beliefs that include the word always and never. Those are big clues to delve into. And before you start that work, do some sort of daily practice that you are grounding, you are connecting to divine wisdom, you are honoring the vessel that you are, and being grateful and showing gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. Banya.
All right, I took this question as a very practical two-part question, and I'm trying to make it short as possible for you. First one, what we can do as a group, and what we can do as an individual. What we can do as a group, I believe that we have to be the example, despite of all the differences and divisions and separations that's going on. I feel like that we are doing that already, which is great. I hope that we can do it more. Second part of what we can do individually, which is something that really works for me, and it works for so many of my clients. I cannot emphasize the power of water. We do not drink enough water. First, we have to drink a lot of water throughout the day, but whenever you drink, just drink in a mindful way. Send a gratitude. Thank you for where it's coming from. Drinking a lot of water first, and drinking it mindful mindful way actually helps on the physical level, energy level, and spiritual level. And that's what I do, and it works great. And I guess that's what I wanted to share. That's it.
Thank you, Banya. Thank you. Songbird.
That actually goes perfect because I'm a big water drinker and a water blesser and do water ceremonies. I love water. And I think in this moment, that is the feminine, to flow like the waters, to just flow. Sometimes it's rough and rocky, and sometimes it's swampy, and sometimes it's soft and peaceful. But without the rocks, there would be no river song. So it really is that we just flow. And so I would say in this moment, we are given one of the sacredest moments of our life to sit down with ourselves. And like they say in the shamanic ways, you take everything you love in one hand and you take everything you hate in the other, and you put them together. And you really put in the work to know yourself, to know your path, and to ask that big question of, why did I come to the earth at this time? What is my sacred role, and what is my mission and purpose here? And when you do that, you start to see everything as sacred and everything as beautiful, and you start to really understand what it is you came to do. And sometimes it's big and sometimes it's small, it doesn't matter, but everybody is granted a piece of this puzzle. And one of the practices that came to mind is to rise with the morning sun. It's something that changed my life, and it's something that my ancestors have been doing for thousands of years, is every morning rising with that first light and receiving the first light of the sun and giving your prayers and your gratitude. And maybe you put an offering down of tobacco or cornmeal or something, and you just start your day in the good way. And you can say your prayers for your family, for your friends, for the world, and just receive the first light and let it come in and through you. And from there, you start your day. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. Maricarmen.
I'm going to totally piggyback on Songbird and Banya, because both of their examples are about ritual and the importance of ritual and the lack of ritual we have in our lives. And even with the Kat had talked about that, you know, moving through the chakras, and Sandra San did I do that in all my classes, the hand on the heart, your left hand, or doesn't matter which hand, is in the lower hara into the lower instinctual body, and then there's that communication and connection. I think it's about ritual, and even if it's 5 minutes, and primarily for women, if you know, we can encourage each other or have just in our own lives the permission to have you know, sensuality, this sense of really being participatory in our environment. So when we're with water, you know, we're more becoming water. And then as really young girls, we are instructed at a very, depending on our culture, but in this American culture, we're instructed at a very young age that a woman's sensual and natural being is to be shut down. So we're all conditioned for that. And I think an incredible ritual is that tuning in, you know, connecting heart mind, gratitude practices, but it's about really coming into the present senses and allowing ourselves pleasure and enjoyment and all those things that I think we've spent a lifetime being deprived of or being punished for having. So that is my recommendation in a nutshell, is to develop that kind of ritual. You know, the smallest nugget of your day, you take ownership of it and build on that.
Thank you, Maricarmen. Thank you. Thuy.
Yes, and I am totally going to piggyback off of the giving ourselves permission, like giving ourselves permission to enjoy beauty and to be sensual. So my practices, you know, and of course there's the meditation and the rituals, but I feel like one of the most powerful practices is just allowing myself to like play, just do things that are fun. If I want to put on something, you know, beautiful, I do that. If I enjoy flowers, then I bring more into my space. So just allowing yourself to enjoy like those things that usually you were taught that they were just frivolous or that they didn't hold any value, but it's just I think that act of self-love, like just honoring the things that make you smile, like if, you know, doing art, taking a bath, you know, like doing things, like just treat yourself as you would treat like a daughter or a friend, but just making yourself and just giving yourself permission to be happy, right? Those are the things that we weren't taught were allowed. So just going back to enjoyment, pleasure, sensuality, and just allowance of those things, I think have helped me tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you, Thuy. Thank you, sisters. Just some insights. Flow like water, right? When you're drinking water, be mindful. Remembrance of our innate self-worth, trusting yourself, go within. We are the change makers. Love yourself. Protect all that is sacred. Walk our talk. Engaging in ritual, giving yourself permission to play and to be sensual. We have come to our last question before we close our circle in ceremony. Here we go, sisters. In the past, feminist movements have faltered, such as the suffragettes, the 1970s feminist movement, and the Women's March in the United States due to racism, discrimination based on sexual orientation, classism, and religious discrimination. On an individual and collective basis, what must we discard in order to respect our own truth and at the same time respect and support our sisters' truth? We'll begin with Maricarmen.
Thank you so much. I'm going to touch on some incredible guidance and lessons I'm getting from the Austin Justice Coalition here in Austin that I'm involved in. And I sat in on a Zoom meeting just a couple days ago where it was a forum on what does defunding the police mean? I learned so much from these presenters. They're community organizers and leaders for the Austin Justice Coalition. All these situations, you can apply them to everything. In how we faltered in the past is where we're conditioned to be a response culture. So we react and we respond, and that's basically how we start to follow events, or start to write a new chapter of history is from reaction or response. And we don't do a lot of really good listening. And in just taking that time from that meeting, it was sitting with my own reflection on, we're all really busy trying to convince others of why we're right. And I think that it doesn't get us anywhere. It doesn't get us anywhere. It doesn't work. I think it's proven it doesn't work. So the big thing that I think we can discard is this habit, not even habit. It's just so destructive. It's you know, it's kind of retroactive work. You know, it's two steps forward, 3 steps back. In that, with all our good intentions and our right intentions, and for all the right reasons, it's not going to make a difference if we're not really listening, especially the voices we don't agree with. If we're not listening, it doesn't mean we are aligned with other different views. It just means we're going to come into it in this more evolved and productive way, because we're here to have everyone rise up. There's a fantastic series on Hulu. It was about Phyllis Schlafly. I don't know if anybody watched it. It was so great, Mrs. America. And the incredible irony of this powerhouse of the Republican Party in the, you know, the 50s, 60s, 70s, and then in the 80s, and in that she was the smartest woman in any room. And at the end of the day, she was still, you know, the one taking notes for the men, regardless of what her beliefs were. And conversely, for the feminist movement at the time, all the language got lost strictly into abortion rights, where it did very much become these dueling ideals of, I'm trying to convince you that you're ruining my way of life, and I'm trying to stop you from ruining my way of life, where the irony is that they both were working off of the strengths and the powers of being feminine, of what's being uniquely feminine and being a feminine leader. And I think that's really at the heart of it, is we need to discard this desire to constantly convince everybody that we're right, and to do a hell of a lot more listening, right? And sitting with the legitimate views and feelings of others.
Thank you, Maricarmen. Thank you. Banya.
So why can't we discard? First of all, when you say feminism, one of the first things that comes to our mind is what is opposite of feminism is masculinity. And there's the yin and yang going on. Yin and yang is its opposite, yet it's complementary and interdependent. We have to realize that, but I don't think we really see us as being important, and sometimes we're trying to be other part instead of being holy and being beautiful as it is. And even our society, we call little girl tomboy, and it's a good thing. Calling little boy girly, it's a bad thing. And it's kind of embedded in all aspects of our lives, and realizing that our quality of who we are is beautiful, and have to have awareness. And what are the specific qualities of femininity? For me, is first is intuition, as I said before. Second is gentleness. And gentleness it's in both men and women. Especially, I feel like men, when they are powerful, they know how to embody gentleness. I believe that is more powerful than anything else. And the third is allowing things to happen, going with the flow, instead of trying to push it and making it happen, allowing things to happen, which is going with the flow and being natural. So I believe those 3 qualities are the feminine part of who we are, and we have to honor that. We have to see the strength and beauty in that. That's it.
Thank you so much, sister. Thuy.
Yes, I think I'm going to echo a lot of the same sentiments. I think what didn't work in the past is an act of fighting against something, right? So when we're fighting against, sexism or inequality or racism, we're trying to fight, and we're using the energy of conflict and chaos, and that's not where our power is. Like, our power is, coming together, unity, it's peacefulness. And so if we want to change paradigms, if we want things to shift, it's kind of rising up to the power of the divine feminine. And it doesn't mean that we're not taking initiative, or it doesn't mean that we're being passive and not voicing ourselves, but it's just the energy that we bring. It's bringing a different energy of love and nurturance and peace. And I just think that's where our power is. Like, if we can just stay there and have everything rise up and meet us, I think the old paradigms just fall away. Right? It can't exist when there's so much of the divine feminine qualities. There wouldn't be a place for inequality or racism or sexism. So it's being more, embodying more of who we are, and the beautiful sacred qualities that we have.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. Tash.
Yeah, beautiful. I'll echo that as well. I think that's, this time, there's so much going on. There's so much information outside of ourselves. So again, I feel like we're all learning to feel what's true for ourselves and to stop focusing so much about what's going on out there. There's so much. And to learn to trust ourselves and to be the change, to be the emanation. And yeah, like a few have said, to be able to speak about any topic, but to be part of the positive, part of the change, part of the solution, and coming from the energy of love, not fight, not the aggression. And again, heart math, I love, they've proven that you get 3 people in a room who are in coherence, who are emanating a certain energy, and then consciously doing that, and then you bring another person in off the street, their energy will come up to meet the coherent energy. So we're walking around like tuning forks. That's our power, and we can tap into source, tap into the heart, tap into source, and emanate a field that impacts everything around us. That's our power to go within, and we don't even have to really ultimately concern ourselves about the external, because our task is to be inspired. Like my whole interest in conscious creating and law of attraction is like the ultimate activism. I'm following my bliss and believing in going into the heart and focusing on my dreams as the ultimate activism to help bring healing to the planet, because that's the teaching. If we go into source and we follow our bliss, that's what helps change the world. That's what helps bring in a new earth. So, but it takes a lot of trust to stop listening to outside authority and to believe that we are connected and we do know what to do, and we will be called to the right action when we come from the heart, when we tap into who we truly are. Aligned action aligned in love, in the divine feminine. So I don't know if that answers the question, but thank you.
Beautiful. Yes, it answers the question. Thank you, Tash. Songbird.
Awesome. I think great minds and great hearts think and feel alike, because I hear everybody saying my answer. But I think what I feel is that it's healing that's happening right now. We have a lot of generational trauma, a lot of ancestral healing, a lot of things from slavery and colonization, and things that are so deep within us that are coming up for the healing. And something that I know from working with organizations is that change never happens outside, it happens inside. And there's something called divine timing, where it all aligns to each other and it becomes the change that we want to be, that we want to see then, and then it ripples out like that magnetic field you're talking about. And so we have a lot of healing as women too, being in a patriarchal society. And, you know, how did we voice ourselves in the past was usually through anger and, you know, well, I want to be heard, and destruction. But now it's moving into creation. What do we want to create in this new earth, in this new reality, in this new time? And destruction is so loud. but creation is so gentle and soft. So just like you hear a lot of destruction in the earth, there's so much creation that we're not hearing. But soon those sprouts will start sprouting and we'll have beautiful trees all over the earth. And I think it really is like the Dalai Lama said, it's the Western woman who will change the world, because we are born into privilege. We have so much that we can share. And when you have the right people with the right resources, the world changes. And so I think part of what we're also coming into is the time of listening. Like we started our conversation, is that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we should listen 2 times more than we speak. And that's why I love talking circles, because really the power in a talking circle is not the talking, it's the listening. Because we listen to each other and we hear our own self, we hear the reflections of who we are, and we get to heal those parts too. And when we come together in the circle, that's the power, because there is no higher or lower. We are now all equal in that circle, and that's the way of our ancestors. So the way I see this time is we're going from the pyramid to the circle. So a lot of things have to fall for that circle to come together. And it's going to be all nations, all tribes, everyone coming together in this great holy circle so that we can begin again. But there are a lot of wounds that we have to sort through. And I feel like it is the time of listening, of going within, of restructuring and creating what we wish to see. Oh.
Yes, thank you. Beautiful. San.
Okay, thank you. The question is, why have movements failed? And I personally feel that movements are extremely important, and we have to continue to do this, but there is a different way of making our voice heard, and that is, why is there resistance? So find out how the opposition can benefit when our voice is being heard. So with equal rights, how can a man benefit from us being viewed as equal or above, but we won't tell them that. So therefore, listening and conversation, being vulnerable, find out where their resistance is to change, to helping us change. Ask them, what would you do if you were in my position and I'm not getting equal pay? I'm not getting equal rights. What would you do? Go peel back the layers, find out their vulnerability, that level where they can see our view. But these movements, what we are doing, they have to continue to happen, because we didn't start off being loud and aggressive. The first time we realized that we were being treated unequal, we just questioned it. Why am I being treated this way? We didn't say it in an aggressive way. We became this way because the opposition wasn't paying any attention to us. Why were they not paying attention to us? It's because they saw no benefit in what we wanted. So therefore, when we sit around the table with these people who are opposed to our views, we have to ask them, what is the problem here? How come, like, are you compassionate? Having compassion for someone means walk in our shoes. What would you do in my situation? How would you solve it? And that's how dialogue can happen. That's how change can happen, when we involve those who are actually opposed to our change. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Heather.
Wow. I don't really feel I have a lot to share, because everyone is sharing such profound wisdom, and the mirroring that's occurring, of course, is phenomenal. So aho to everything that has been shared. I do feel guided to say that in my perception, they haven't failed, the movements. It's been an evolutionary process, and they've even, they're called the waves, the civil rights waves. And here we are. And I would say we're in a tsunami now. And yet it's the tsunami of compassion. It's the tsunami of awakening and of healing, and of transformation and expansion of consciousness. And so we have an awareness now that we didn't have historically, of course. And so we're able to move into these opportunities for unification, for equality, for unconditional love, and everything that we're yearning to experience ourselves and as a global family. We have an opportunity to truly embody it like we never have before. And I feel it is happening. And it's so powerful. And a reason why it's happening is we are dissolving the old paradigms that someone needs to be right and someone needs to be wrong. And we're dissolving this warring energy that has been so prevalent on the planet for so long. And back to our whole intention of gathering, I feel like it's because of the sacred feminine rising. She's like, we ain't having this anymore. You know, we're not going to tolerate it anymore. This is a new time. This is a new earth. And we are manifesting the unity and the peace and the love and the reverence that we're desiring. Just get to hold that intention and that faith and that compassionate presence that we all are. So thank you.
Thank you, sister. Kat.
Thank you. And I am in agreement with everyone. One of the things that has been coming through for me lately is to really stop the spiritual bypassing. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that's refusing to participate, connect, deal with anything. Just, I want to sit on my pillow, I want to chant, I want to not have to be around frequencies that are lower than where I want to be. I just want to see the light, the light, the light. We need to discard our fear of shadows, and we need to discard our fear of discomfort, and to be able to sit in a place where you can hold the light and the dark, where you can hold the darkness within yourself. Because what we're seeing right now that is so overwhelming for so many people is the shadow that they have refused to acknowledge. And part of that shadow is fear, anger. We as women, I think what caused some of those movements to falter a bit was people disowning their anger and repressing that, rather than, we weren't taught how to express that anger in a healthy way. And so it becomes toxic and it becomes abusive to children, to elders, to earth, to each other. And I think another thing that needed to be discarded was withholding. That concept that if they get that, means there's less for me. And something I encountered a lot in the corporate world, especially, was women who had gained positions of power were not willing to share it, were not willing to mentor, were not willing to dialogue or reciprocate in any way. And it was like, I did this for myself, got to figure it out for me, and you better not mess with me because, whatever. So I think those are some of the things that we need to discard. And that's on an individual and a collective basis. And I also want to make a point that has been sitting on my heart a lot lately, that is to women in particular. we have been responsible for the majority of calls to police that have resulted in deaths of Black men, Black women, Indigenous men and women. And that is because of the shadow. I don't know if that goes back to fear from Salem witch trials, the Inquisition, but we all need to really take responsibility. And I'm not sure what that looks like for each person, but really, as a white woman, look at what is stirring you, what is making you so fearful that someone who has more melanin in their skin is such a threat to you. As people in general, what is it about hearing somebody else's opinion or perception? How is that such an overwhelming threat to you or to another person? That's something that I'm really, really trying to figure out, and to be able to sit in a place where I can be solid in me and I can hear one side, I can hear another side, and not be threatened, not be thrown off of center, but curious, interested in knowing more. And I feel like when we can embody those and practice those, and as was said before, listen, really listen, hold that energy that you want to see around you, really. And have respect. Respect is looking in, and it takes courage and heart and patience. But I feel like there's just so much that's possible. There's so much light behind this tsunami, as Heather said. Tsunamis clear the land, and to really to know that it's not all for naught, that there is hope, and that as more and more of us tune into each other and open up to each other and receive each other, reciprocate, that we can create a new world. We are creating a new world. I hope that answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Thank you, all my sisters. Just to wrap up with some golden nuggets here, what some big takeaways are. Listen, release the need to be right, right? Allow things to happen. Go with the flow, right? Hold the light and the dark. Change happens inside. What do we need to create? Hold and radiate gentleness. Involve others who are opposed to our movement. Beautiful. Trust. We began with listen, and we move into the closing of our gathering. We will end with listening. I decided for our closing, in this listening phase, we will have Songbird, and after Songbird, Cat, close this sacred circle with song and music as we listen. Songbird?
Oh, thank you. So the song that I'm gonna sing is actually perfect with what Kat just said, because when this song came to me and I was learning it, my grandmother came through, and I was connected to my grandmother, who was a Cherokee woman who didn't get to sing her own songs, and she didn't get to do her ceremonies, and she wasn't able to express herself in the ways that she wanted to. And I never understood why she was so angry until this song came through. And she showed me the trail of tears. And she said, you know, through those trails of tears, we lost so much, but what would kept us going through those times was the songs, was the music, was the prayers. And so this is a song that's a social song. One interpretation is, I am of great spirit, yes I am. But the older translation is, I am of great heart and courage. And so that's the real interpretation that I feel, is that to be of great spirit is to be of great heart and great courage. So I invite you to just close your eyes and give gratitude and thanks to all your grandmothers and all their prayers that have led us here to this sacred moment in this sacred time, and to give gratitude and thanks for all that they went through in their lives, and to honor our ancestors, and especially to honor our grandmother Earth, because she's here loving us and supporting us and taking us on the ride of a lifetime. So just allow yourself to breathe in and out as we give gratitude and thanks for this sacred time, for this wisdom gathering, for the divine feminine rising within us all, as we bring in the grandmothers. So may you all be filled with love, gratitude, and hope, and be of great courage and great heart during these sacred times. Aho.
Aho, sisters. Aho. Thank you so much. So beautiful. Now, Kat will take us on through to the closing of this circle with amazing grace.
shoot. I'm so sorry. Let me try again.
Thank you so much, sister. Thank you so much, sister. It's beautiful, beautiful. Divine Mother, we're so grateful. We're so honored that you chose to experience yourself through us, through the aspect of the divine feminine. May all of us, our planet, our loved ones, all the sisters of the earth be surrounded and guided by your love. Thank you all who are present here for this gathering. I love you. I respect you. I honor you. You are my sisters. Thank you so much. Aho,